Hi, thanks for coming on. Andy speaking. Friday, 6th of October. Just coming up 5 o'clock. Hopefully get this up earlier today. It's a fairly okay-ish week. We'll come to that in a minute. I'm going to cover the Premier League and League 2, as well as obviously the Scottish stuff. I'm not going to cover League 1 this week because I went through that 3 times. I thought it was a really, really hard coupon, League 1. We had some decent bets in the week, well, a couple of decent Derby in that, but I felt it was a really tough coupon, and there's only one members bet from League 1 this week. All the other business, we got two in the Premiership and some in League 2. Scotland, there's only 3 members bets. I felt that was a really, really tough coupon as well. So quite a tough weekend, I think, in certain areas. League 2 obviously looks the best, but I did say what we do this week, we'll look at the Premier League, where we are at the moment. I mean, people say, oh, well, we're only 7 games in. Yeah, we're only 7 games in, but it's a fifth of the season virtually. So I do think it's worth looking at. I mean, I don't think, can we read too much into it at the moment? I'm not sure. I do, as we go through it, you'll see, I think there are 4 teams this season that I'm not going to say they're clear of the rest, but I think there's 4 teams what sort of look to be the 4 that are going to fill the top 4 spaces as things stand. And I do think a question, as I say, that I was asked many times, not just myself throughout the summer, but other people in the media that work in the industry, etc. Were 2 certain teams made the top 4 because of other teams' shortcomings, and I think that's proving to be the case. But let's have a look anyway. I mean, this is where we are points-wise at the moment. Tottenham and Arsenal, they're sort of mirroring each other. They're both on 17. They've both got a goal difference of +9. Tottenham have scored 2 more goals. That's why they're ahead of them in the league tables, you'll see. But I don't, there's nothing much between them as it stands. I don't like. I don't like the fact that the games that these have lost. These 2 aren't going to be title contenders. I don't think they'll be top 4 contenders. And as I say, you'd have to be concerned that after 7 games, 3 teams. I mean, Newcastle lost 3, Chelsea lost 3, Manchester United lost 4, and it's not like they've had to play. If United had played City, Tottenham, Arsenal, Liverpool lost to all of them, yeah, you can understand it. But those defeats. I mean, they did lose to Tottenham and Arsenal, but at home to Brighton and at home to Crystal Palace, I think that's pretty damning for them. I really do. But let's get on and let's have a look and see where we are. And I think you'll be able to see why I think those 4 teams will fill the top 4 spaces. Right. I mean, here's the record. This is in points order. What we've done this, so you can see, against the top 10. Liverpool have got 9 points. So, we look at Liverpool in 4th, and I think they've had quite a tough go at it, toughish run. Beat Aston Villa, beat West Ham, are in the top 10. Won away at Newcastle, which I thought was an excellent result with 10 men. Lost 2-1 at Tottenham. I don't think they should have lost that game. I think that game should have been a draw. As for talking about replaying it, that's just absolute nonsense. If that was even under consideration to be replayed, that sets a massive dangerous precedent, and we're going to see it just can't happen. It's just got to be put down to experience and move on. But as we can see, Liverpool have played 4 teams inside the top 10, won 3, lost 1. They're averaging 2.25 points. Arsenal, we'll cover Arsenal and Tottenham together because they're pretty much the same. Both played 3 teams in the top 10. Arsenal have played. I can't remember who Arsenal have played in the top 10. They've played Tottenham at home, haven't they? Which was a draw. They've won away at Crystal Palace and they've beaten Manchester United at home. So that's Arsenal's, gives them an average of 2.33 points against the top 10. Tottenham, they've beaten Liverpool, Manchester United, drawn away at Arsenal. 2.33 is the average points. I think that's really good form from Spurs, I have to say. They're a team that if they'd have been on telly last year, I wouldn't have even acknowledged it. But Ange, I've had to eat loads of humble pie with Ange when he took over at Celtic. I didn't think it would work. It did. When he took over at Tottenham, I was unsure because of the personnel they had. And when they lost Harry Kane as well, as I said, I thought they'd be 8th or 9th. This guy's transformed them. He has galvanised them. I think they're away at Luton tomorrow. I think they'll win that. Manchester City, they've played 2 teams in the top 10. Newcastle at home, West Ham away. They won them both. They've got Arsenal this weekend. We'll come to that. I think that's going to be a fascinating game. But I just think the lowest average there is 2.25. Villa's 1.5, and and then you can see the rest of them. But what I'm saying is these 4 teams at the moment are outperforming the others massively. I think massively. I really do. Liverpool are away at Brighton at the weekend. I think Liverpool will win that. Let's go to Aston Villa. Beat Brighton at home. Beat Crystal Palace at home. Are in the top 10. Got stuffed at Liverpool 3-0. Stuffed at Newcastle 5-1. I don't think Villa are a top 4 side. Do I see them in the top 6? Yes, possibly. Possibly I do. Brighton. I never know what to read with Brighton. They turned over Newcastle 3-1. Then they get a 6-1 hiding at Villa. Lost 3-1 at home to West Ham. Every game they've played has been at least 4 goals. They're at home to Liverpool. I think Liverpool will win that. I'm not saying Brighton are a poor side. Again, I think they're a side which will challenge top 6. As I say, this. I know we're only 7 games in, but I do think that these 4 teams, there is a gap, and you can see that. City have taken maximum points. Newcastle, I have to say I was impressed with the performance the other night against Paris Saint-Germain. I didn't watch it, I only know what I read. But league form against the big boys, they've struggled. They lost at home to Liverpool, lost away at City, lost away at Brighton, stuffed Villa at home. All the other wins have been against teams 14th or below. And as I say, that's a bit damning. Losing at home to losing away to Manchester City is forgivable. Away at Brighton, I don't think is when you're talking about a top 4 side. Do I think any of those 4 will get turned over at Brighton this season? Probably not, if I'm honest. So we'll go on to Chelsea. Chelsea are up to 11th. I had a bet in that game the other night. I've done the under 2.5 goals. I think I might have said it to you guys on here. Chelsea, they've won 2 games. They've beaten Fulham and Luton, who are 13th and 17th. That's I don't think that's the greatest form. They've played 3 sides inside the top 10. Lost away at West Ham. Lost at home to Aston Villa. Drew at home to Liverpool. And when you look at that from Chelsea, and when you just look at the league table at the top 6, and you think, hang on a minute, Chelsea are in 11th. They've got to play Man City twice, Tottenham twice, Arsenal twice. They've got to go to Liverpool, Villa, play Brighton twice. They've got to play Newcastle twice. They've got to play Manchester United twice. And all of a sudden, I don't see Chelsea as top 4 at all. Do I see them as a top 6 side? Possibly, but I don't think they're going to challenge the top 4. I really don't. Manchester United, I don't know what to say about them. That's damning. There's no getting away from that. They're 10th in the table, and I mean, they're 10th. They've won 3 games, all against teams in the bottom half: Forest, Wolves, and Burnley. They've played 4 games against teams in the top 10, lost them all. Okay, they've been to Spurs, they've been to Arsenal. You could forgive that, but losing at home to Brighton and Crystal Palace, you're not top 4 challenging side if you lose those, I'm afraid. I mean, the thing is, and one of the things, I had a really good email from a Manchester United fan the other day. Not the one who emailed me and we were talking about them and Tottenham. This was somebody else who's been a season ticket holder there for 30 years. And like he said to me, there is so much outside influence at Manchester United from idiots on Sky. And that was his words, not mine, but I totally agree with him. I think it doesn't matter what game of football Sky are covering. Idiots like Gary Neville, Roy Keane, and I'm entitled to say that because, those players that are ex-players, mean absolutely nothing to me. I don't follow Premiership football teams, so, but let's say, for example, it's, I don't know, Liverpool, Arsenal on Sky. Gary Neville, Roy Keane, etc. will end up talking about Manchester United. That's not right. The game that's on is about these two. What they're doing is absolutely sweet FA to do with the game that Sky is covering. And as this Andy is his name, this season ticket holder for Manchester United, said to me, this outside influence from people that used to play the game and things like that is not helping whatsoever, because I'll tell you what will happen now. I don't know who they got the weekend. United, they're at home to Brentford. Let's say they get turned over at home to Brentford, which is possible. Ten Hag gets sacked middle of next week. Another manager comes in, starts off well. It'll all be bed of roses. Praises will be sung for him by the likes of Neville, etc. on Sky. 4 or 5 months later, it'll turn nasty, and then you're back to the same situation. And as I said, Mason Mount is just an absolutely incredible signing. Because, as I say, if you look at the table and look at Wolves in 15th, Everton 16th, Brentford 14th, that is Mason Mount's level. Don't believe me? Go and keep your own stats on him. Go and do some homework on him. That is where he fits in. That's his level. Just incredible. I say that I think the goalkeeper's absolutely useless too. Anana. And like the chap I was speaking to, Andy, the season ticket holder, like he said that when I said last week about it being 8-3 in favour of Tottenham, a combined 11, he said no. He said that I was wrong. He said it would be 11-0 in favour of Tottenham. He said because there's absolutely zero heart at Manchester United, and he's probably right. I think there's too many dummy spitters there, toys out the pram. If they don't win, it's a sulking. That's not how you win football matches. But anyway, that's damning. It really is. And as I did say, go and look at their away record last season against teams at the top. I think they won 1 game against away to a team in the top 10. You'd have to be concerned. I don't even see him in the top 6. And that's not personal. I just don't. I think I look down this list. There's 4 teams there. I think they're streets ahead of Manchester United at the moment. I think they're ahead of Manchester United. Villa, Brighton, and Chelsea. I'm not sure about Chelsea, but I'd sooner side with a Villa and Brighton than Manchester United, and I really would. So, if you're talking 4, 5, 6, 7, there you go. That would be my top 7 clubs currently. But it can change, as we've seen, particularly with them, who were absolutely diabolical and have gone on to be a point behind Manchester City and still unbeaten. Let's have a look at the records against the bottom 10 anyway. City 12 points, Tottenham and Arsenal 10. Again, they're mirroring each other, aren't they? These two clubs, averaging 2.33 against the top 10, 2.5 against the bottom. Now, look at these. They've won all 3 games: Villa, Brighton, Newcastle, and Manchester United, against teams in the bottom 10. Now look where they are against teams in the top. Chelsea, bottom, average 1.75 points, an average 0.3 points. It's really bad. Liverpool have played 3, got 7. I think that's okay, particularly when they're top of that section. So if we go down and let's have a look. This is the big 9 against each other. We always used to say big 5, big 6, whatever, but we got to say sort of 9-ish clubs, haven't we? I'm not going to say that, these 9 and nobody else exists, because I think West Ham are certainly capable of, some decent performances, and they're a tough nut to crack, West Ham. But if we look at the big 9 against each other, that's a fantastic average. I think anything sort of 2 points or above is a really good average, because I think if you're averaging over 2 points against your rivals, you're doing well. And if you can beat the teams towards the bottom end of the table, you're not going to be far off challenging. And again, you've got those 4 teams, haven't you? Tottenham, Liverpool, 2 points, 2.3. Arsenal 2, City 3. Again, those 4 clubs which I've spoken about as being the top 4 at the moment, look to be the top 4 in every which way. Brighton have done okay. Villa haven't done too bad, but look at that. I think that's awful, isn't it? I didn't like Newcastle at the start of the season. As I say, I really struggled to think, was it Newcastle and Manchester United, had they improved that much? But I think we did see improvement in them, but I think that we've seen more improvement in these 2, and they've sailed on by. And there we can see the top 10 and bottom 10 combined. 6 and 12, 7 and 10, 7 and 10, 9 and 7. Those 2 aren't too bad. That's not good enough. 12, 9 and 5. Chelsea, awful. That's not good enough. That's not too bad. Those are the 4 clubs without question at the moment. The table, doesn't lie. It does sometimes, because Manchester City could be top. They're on 18 points, but 6 of those 6 wins could have all come against teams in the bottom. For argument's sake, similar to like what I've said about Notts County in League 2. Outside of Swindon, all the rest of the wins have been against teams towards the bottom. City's best win has been at home to Newcastle or away at West Ham. They've not played Tottenham, Arsenal, Liverpool, Villa, Brighton, Manchester United, Chelsea. They got some tough fixtures. Absolutely no question about that. Manchester City on the horizon starting this weekend. But guys, I think at the moment I just cannot get my head round that they could be challengers, but we have to talk about them in that voice, don't we? And the added bonus of there is they haven't got European football. So I don't know what price Tottenham are for the top 4. I did say the other week when United were odds on for the top 4. That was just laughable. They're a million miles from top 4. So are Chelsea. I think Newcastle's probably the biggest danger to the current top 4 clubs. These 4. I don't see Villa and Brighton seeing it through. It's tough, isn't it? But it's hard to make money in the Premier League, as I always say. But guys, that's it. And I think there's 4 teams, and I think those are the best 4 teams in the country at the moment by some way. And the reason why I say by some way is because this table here, this is the most influential table. Your performances against the top 10. That's where you earn your money in football. And those 4 teams, as I say, the next highest is 1.5. They're on 2.33. And if you look, Arsenal and Tottenham have only played 3 games. They've played 4, and they've accumulated more points. So you'd have to be, you could probably chalk up those performances even more. So if I had to bet on the top 4, it would be those 4 clubs. I don't know in what order. Probably with City first, Liverpool second, Arsenal third, Tottenham fourth. I could be totally wrong, but without doubt, those 4 clubs are pretty. That's quite a way ahead, because that's an average of 0.83 minimum in front of Villa and Brighton. And when you look at Newcastle, that's Liverpool are averaging 1.5 more. Chelsea 0.33. Tottenham and Arsenal are averaging 2 points per game more than Chelsea, and obviously United on none. So I think these 4 are the 4 best teams in the Premier League. I just think it's going to be tough for somebody to break that. I might be totally wrong, but we shall see. Right, let's go on, and we'll start with England this week. Right, Premier League, Luton Tottenham 10-24-66. I think Tottenham should be 2s on. They're 4-9. There's nothing in them. There's nothing in the game. I'd be amazed if Tottenham didn't win. They've played 7 games. They've scored at least 2 in every game. On the road, 5-2 at Burnley, 2-0 at Bournemouth, 2-2 at Brentford, 2-2 at Arsenal. I think Tottenham will win tomorrow. You'd expect them to, I don't know, maybe Tottenham and over 3.5, Tottenham and over 2.5 goals if you wanted to have a bet. Fulham Sheffield United 50-26-24. I think that's ridiculous. I know Sheffield United aren't a very good side, but how do you price a team up at 4-6 that's won 2 games all season and both of them 1-0? I just fail to see the logic there. I think they should be even money. There's 1.8 points in Sheffield United. And I'm not saying you've got to go and bet it, but that's probably one of the worst 4-6 shots I've ever seen. No, I'm telling you, no. The worst odds on is Wrexham, like last week when they went off 2-5 against Crewe, and we opposed them and Crewe drew. That's a ridiculous price. It's up to you. I'll tell you some bets that I'm having in the Premier League. I'm not giving them to members, and Sheffield United is one of them. I'll come to the rest in a minute. Everton Bournemouth 45-25-30. Again, I think Everton are too short at evens. Bournemouth have had it tough. It's a club just down the road from me. Let's look at their fixtures. They've played Tottenham at home, Arsenal at home, West Ham at home, Chelsea at home. That is really rough fixtures. Away, they've been to Liverpool, Brighton and Brentford. They've yet to win. I think they'll win tomorrow, Bournemouth, if Everton turn up like they did last week, because I tell you, I just cannot, for the life of me. They've played 4 games at home, Everton, lost them all. And the worrying thing for Everton fans would be those losses at home have been against Everton, Wolves and Fulham, who are 13th, 15th and 17th. It's not like they've played big clubs at home. They've played Arsenal and lost that. But I'd be pretty concerned by that form of Everton. And as I say, Bournemouth, it's another bet I'm having. They're not bets I've given to members. They're little bets that I have because there's good value in, but they're not strong enough really for members' bets. But we'll come to the rest. Manchester United, Brentford, 50-26-24. I said last week I think Brentford could be in a spot of trouble this season, and I still think that's going to be the case. They have only lost once on the road at Newcastle 1-0. They won at Fulham 3-0, drew at Forest 1-1. United shouldn't be odds on. How do you make Manchester United's odds on for this game? It's just incredible. For a team that loses at home to Crystal Palace and has won twice at home all season against Wolves and Nottingham Forest by the odd goal, ridiculous. You touch that, you need your head seen to. I think they'll probably win United, but you just don't back 4 to 6 shots that should be even money. It's madness. Burnley Chelsea 23-27.50. Again, like the bet above and the Fulham bet, absolutely not a chance should Chelsea be odds on. I do think they'll win. If I'm honest, they've won at Fulham, drawn at Bournemouth, lost at West Ham. They did beat Luton 3-0. So, all their points have come against teams near the bottom. I don't think they were a great side at all, Chelsea. Spurs fans won't like me saying this, but Mauricio Pochettino, I felt, was a very overrated manager, and I can tell you, because I've got a real good contact at Spurs, that they did not want him back. They felt that the side that he had should have won trophies. That's why they didn't want him back. But I don't think Pochettino's that great. I think he's okay. I think he's a mid-table Premier League manager. Would I touch Burnley? Absolutely not. Chelsea should win, but again, they shouldn't be odds on. So already you've got Fulham at 4 to 6, United at 4 to 6, Chelsea at 3 to 4. Not one of those clubs should be odds on. When I look through that list, there's only one team on there that should be odds on. That's them. But in saying that, I do think Manchester United and Chelsea will probably win. But I said that last week about United and Palace. Talking of Palace, they're at home to Forest. There's a bit in Palace, actually. I made them evens. They're 5 to 4. I think 5 to 4 is the right price. Forest lost 3 on the road. I don't know what to make of it, though, but it was against City and Arsenal and Manchester United. So it's not the worst. It looks worse than what it probably is. They did win at Chelsea. Palace, you've got to take your hat off. I really do rate Roy Hodgson. I always have him. If there's one person I could sit down and talk football with for days, it's him. They've lost one game at home. That was against Arsenal. This lot aren't anywhere near Arsenal's level. I think Palace should probably win. And there you go. Let me just show you this. You've got Palace at 50%. You've got Chelsea, Manchester United, Fulham at 50%. 4 teams there at 50%. One at 4 to 6. Another at 4 to 6, one at 3 to 4, one at 5 to 4. Which one are you going to back? And if any of you say Fulham, Manchester United and Chelsea over Crystal Palace, then you shouldn't be betting football. Because that's not to say that Crystal Palace are going to win and the others aren't, but that's what you're interested in. West Ham Newcastle 32-26-42. Felt that was far too skinny. 11 to 10 about Newcastle for a team that's been average on the road, and they have been losing at City and Brighton. I think losing at Brighton entitles West Ham to beat Newcastle, and I think Newcastle might just play into West Ham's hands. Reason being is I think Newcastle want the ball, and we've seen how West Ham perform when Brighton wanted all the ball, when Chelsea wanted all the ball. They stuffed them. Well, not stuffed them. Beaten 3-1. Right, let's move on. Brighton, Liverpool. I said about this game, I think Liverpool will win. I think Liverpool should be odds on. I think this is another one of these where Brighton are overrated. Let's look at that performance last week from Liverpool. First off, they had someone sent off earlier on. They had somebody else sent off, Jota. Yet Tottenham couldn't break them down. Liverpool had 8 outfield players. Tottenham couldn't break them down. Tottenham did eventually get the goal. But Jurgen Klopp is an absolute top coach. He really is. And look, I'm not a Liverpool fan or anything like that, as I keep saying to people, but he is a top coach. I think they'll beat Brighton tomorrow. They should be odds on for this. Brighton should be out with a washing, I think. I think Liverpool will beat them. Every Brighton game there's been at least 4 goals, and you know that Liverpool are going to score a couple. Maybe Liverpool and over 2.5 goals, maybe Liverpool and over 3.5, something like that. But I'd be surprised if Liverpool don't win tomorrow. Wolves Aston Villa 33-25-42. Bit of a derby this. Great result for Wolves last week, beating City. Can they back it up? That's the question. They've lost at home to Liverpool and Brighton. I don't really think you can hold that against them. They've lost 2 on the road at Crystal Palace, 3-2 by the odd goal. They lost to Manchester United 1-0, and they should have won that game, or at least drawn. There was a Stonewall penalty in that game not given. I think Wolves, they can test Villa. Do I see Villa at 11-10? Not at all, I don't know. They've won at Chelsea 1-0 and they've won at Burnley 3-1. Turned over at Liverpool and Newcastle. I think the draw's a big runner here, but it's a tough game, isn't it? Arsenal Man City 25-25-50. I think I've got a slight concern about Arsenal. We're on them for the title. Just got a slight concern. The 1-0 win at Palace, the 1-0 win at Everton, the 2-1 at home to Forest, the 2-2 draw with Fulham at home. That doesn't sort of smack of title-winning performances. They've played one team they played one of the big boys, and that was Tottenham 2-2 at home. And I think Arsenal could have lost that game. I think City will win this. I really do. This is a time. These are the games when I think Guardiola puts the marker down. They lost at Wolves last week. I think they'll be raring City. I do, and some people have said to me in the past that Arteta's got all of what Guardiola's got and more. If you believe that, then well, I tell you now that Mikel Arteta is not in the same stratosphere as a manager and coach as Guardiola. I'll tell you that. I'm not saying that Arteta is poor or anything like that, but he's way behind Pep Guardiola as a coach. That's a Premiership best bet. Well, as I say, I'm a small bet for me. Sheffield United, Bournemouth, Brentford, and West Ham. So I've had small bets: Sheffield United, Bournemouth, Brentford, West Ham. I'm not saying any of those teams are going to win, but again, like I said to you the other week, I said there was 3 teams, wasn't it, that were overpriced. One was 4-1, one was 7-2, one was 3-1. And like I said, we only needed one to get a result, and we had 2, and the other one drew. So I'm not going to say it's going to happen this week, but as I say, I've had a small bit on Sheffield United, Bournemouth, Brentford, West Ham. Best bet there, if I had to have a bet, someone had the gun to my head, it would be this. They should be odds on, no question. Let's move on. Right, League 2. As I say, League 1, I was going to cover League 1 and League 2, obviously, but I thought League 1 was so hard. It really was, and I just thought it was best to sit it out. Well, there's one member's bet there, but I just, you look at games and you rate the games and you go back and you think, oh, have I made that? Oh, then you change it, then you go back again, and when you do that, it's you got to sit it out because you're trying to force it. And no, I never bet like that. So right, let's go on with League 2. Accrington, Forest Green, 50-26-24. Smidgen Accrington, Forest Green second from bottom. Accrington's home form against teams in the bottom half of the table, played 3-1-3, averaging 3 goals. Forest Green second from bottom. Barrow Notts County 30-26-44. I don't know what to make of this. Barrow are 10th, Notts County are top. Notts County's best away win was at 17th place, Salford. I wouldn't be backing Notts County at 11-10, but I wouldn't want to back Barrow either. And talking of Barrow, I'm hoping that Pete Wild gets the job at Bradford. If he gets the job at Bradford, we can look forward to this team shooting up from 18th in the table to the top 3 or 4 without question. Because Well, let's go on to this game. As I say, there's nothing in that game really. Bradford Swindon 42-26-32. Mark Hughes has been sacked finally. I don't ever like to see anybody lose their job, and I don't. I'm not somebody that calls for such and such to be sacked and that, but I just think some of these performances have been absolutely lamentable. 3-0 at Morecambe, 2-1 at Tranmere, losing 3-1 at home to Walsall. It's just not good enough. That squad, I went back through that squad the other day when Hughes had got sacked, and for me, where do I see it? It's still a top 4 squad. I don't think it's as good as Stockport's. I don't think it's as good as Gillingham's. But bar those two, I'm struggling to find a better squad than Bradford, yet they're in 18th position. Hughes has had them underperforming for God knows how long. Their wins have been 2-1 against Colchester, 4-1 away at Newport and 1-0 at home to Crewe. That's it. It's not good enough. He's gone. And as I say, I do know that the feeling is with Pete Wild, he's taken Barrow as far as he can. If he gets a Bradford job, I promise you they will rocket through this division. They're 10 points off Notts County at the moment, and there's 35 games to play. If Pete Wild gets a Bradford job, I will be topping up on Bradford for the title, because trust me, he is. I think he's probably the best manager in this division. I've said it before, he's championship level standard. Give him these proper clubs in this division, the so-called bigger clubs. He's done fantastic with Barrow. But Bradford, so frustrating. I'm glad Hughes has been sacked, and I hate to say that, and I do not like seeing people put out of work, but he's such a poor manager, Mark Hughes. Other than the Wales job, I don't know. I can't. There's been nothing to view positive with him ever. I'm afraid. Nothing against him, but I do think Bradford will be on the march with the right man in charge. Let's hope they get it right. Colchester Morecambe 55-24-21. This is a better side than they've shown, without question. Colchester. Let's just have a look at some of the form. 5-4 against Notts County, 3-0 away at Gillingham, 1-1 in Mansfield, Tranmere 2-0. They've lost the rest. Now they've lost at Bradford, Newport, Walsall, home to MK Dons. I don't think it's... And there's quite a few of those teams that I think are in sort of false-ish positions. Bradford, Walsall, MK Dons certainly should be higher up the table than what they are. I think Colchester should be odds on for this. Now Morecambe done us a massive favour last week at 11-4, winning at Forest Green, but this lot's a different animal. I think Colchester should be odds on. It's up to you how you see it. Crawley Wrexham, I shall be there tomorrow. I've not been to Crawley ever, but what he got it wrong in midweek at Doncaster, because he left a load of them out in anticipation of this game tomorrow. He probably thought he had enough to beat Doncaster, but they've turned it around a bit. They've won 3 out the last 4, Donny. So maybe they're starting to come together slightly. They definitely are. But Lindsay will have these ramped up for this tomorrow. And their record is 1-5 at home, lost 1. Their only loss has been against Gillingham, and I think that Gillingham's second best team in the division currently. What do I think? Well, again, 2-5 last week, 19-20. Now, even the most die-hard Wrexham fans, the ones that send me messages and offer all sorts of abuse to me, I would love to know how in God's name Wrexham should be odds on for this. They've got an away record against teams in the top half, away, of drawn 3, lost 1, won none. Why should they be odds on to a team that's 5th and have won 5 from 6 at home? Someone please tell me that. Like last week when they were 2-5 at home to Crewe, who were 3rd. Incredible. They're still being priced up like they're Manchester City. I think Crawley will win tomorrow. I really do. I'm going... you don't need me to tell you that I've already bet them. 14-5, about a 13-8 shot. Cool. I've also backed Crawley on the double chance as well. There you go. I shouldn't have told you that, but I have. I should be going to that game, and fingers crossed Crawley win. I mean, Mansfield should have done Wrexham the other night, but Wrexham goalkeeper was absolutely outstanding by all accounts. Let's move on. Gillingham MK Dons, two teams which I thought would challenge. I still think Gillingham will. I'm not so sure about the Dons. The wheels seem to come off a bit. I don't think there's anything in this game, and I wouldn't back either at the moment because I just wouldn't trust them. I just don't. Gillingham, I just don't know. We backed Crewe to beat them the other night. I mean, Crewe was something like 14-5, which was a massive price. But I just don't know what to make of both of these. They're both out of form. I mean, the Dons, last 6 games, they've drawn 3, lost 3. They've not got a win in the last 6. Now, again, when a team goes badly out of form like that, like what I said about Bradford, and when you look at that squad and you think, Christ, that's easy a top 5 or 6 squad, what MK Dons have got, and it is. Why are they in 11th position? Granted, they've had some hard games. They've had Notts County at home, Stockport at home, Crewe away, Crawley away, Wrexham away, and all of those sides are in the top 10. Yet they've only won 1. So they have had tough games. To be fair to MK Dons, but what about the home defeat at Harrogate? What about the 1-1 draw away at Sutton? You can't make excuses for that. You really can't. I can't anyway. 0-0 at Walsall. Yes, I can probably overlook that, but you can't. I just think that it's wrong. I wouldn't touch this game. Right, Mansfield Wimbledon 41-26-33. Mansfield are a decent team. Let's get that straight. They've played 11 games, won 4, drawn 7. I just don't like that drawn 7. I like the fact they're unbeaten. Yes, I do. I don't know. Wimbledon are in second in the division. They're going along nicely. I was tempted to back Wimbledon. They've won the last 3. The only reason I'm not backing Wimbledon, there's a point in it, but don't let me put you off if you want to bet it. I mean, normally this would be a members bet, I'll tell you that now. But I'm dictated to by the ratings and the prices. So when I look at that, bang, straight away that's a bet to me, okay? But when I look at the form, Wimbledon have the best win has been against 13th place Walsall. Okay, they're second in the table, but their best win has been against 13th place Walsall. Mansfield's 7th. And when you've got something that looks as form like that, it doesn't sit well with me. So I just think, I'm going to leave it alone. I will probably end up having a small bit on Wimbledon. I wouldn't put you off. I couldn't back these lot. They're far too short, 21-20 for a team that's drawn 7 from 11. That's not a chance. Would I entertain that? But as I say, this could be overrated. They've played 3 teams at home in the top 9. They've lost to Stockport, drawn with Crewe and Wrexham at home. Away, their best performance was a win at 13th place Walsall. So we don't know how Wimbledon are going to fare on the road to teams in the top half. But there is a point in them. Newport Harrogate 44-26-30. I don't like either of these two for punting purposes. Harrogate have won twice on the road at MK Dons, and Doncaster drawn at Bradford. That form alone gives them a chance at Newport, who 14th. I think they've won 1 of the last 6 or 7. And that was against Colchester, who are 3rd from bottom, 4th from bottom. Not for me. Salford Crewe 38-24-38. There's 0.87 in Crewe. Hopefully they win, because I've got total disdain for Salford City because Gary Neville is a part owner and I cannot stand him. Crewe 3rd. They've done us some really, really good turns. I mean, they've got a fantastic record. Played 11, won 5, drawn 5, lost 1. The only loss was at Bradford City. They've drawn at Wrexham. They've drawn at Swindon. They've beat Gillingham. They've beat MK Dons. Serious outfit. who's the manager? Lee Ball, the manager. Crew. Oh God. Tell I'm getting old. I could name you every manager off the top of my head a few years ago. I'm sure Lee Ball's the manager of Crew. He's a fantastic coach. 0.87 in them. Stockport Doncaster 66-25-9. 0.03, far not enough in there to make a bet, and not enough in there to make a bet for a team that's coming into form in Doncaster. But Stockport, they've won the last 5. They've got that head of steam up, and the thing about Stockport County is, like when we done the analysis last week, they've played all the sides in the top part of the table, and they're 3 points behind Notts County. I think they're going to win the title. They're, I think, a different class to anything in the league at the moment, but we'll see. If you want to bet them tomorrow, they're rated to win. There's just nothing in the price. Sutton Walsall 35-24-40. Again, this is a team which I find real difficult to get a handle on. Is Walsall? I think, they beat Stockport, drew at Crewe, but then they've lost at Morecambe, lost at home to Wimbledon. It's I quite like the Saddlers. I think they should be a top half side challenging for the playoffs. When you look at that table at the moment, who've you got at 7th? You've got Mansfield, Gillingham, Wrexham, Barrow, MK Dons. They should be sandwiched there in with that group. All of those teams I've just mentioned are playoff challengers. Walsall should be in there. They're better than 13th. Tranmere Grimsby 42-27-31. Tranmere third from bottom. They've won 3 at home. They've lost here against Salford, Barrow and Wrexham. They've lost on the road to some decent sides. Hard to know what to make. There's 0.37 in them. Right, let's go on to Scotland. Right, Celtic Kilmarnock 74-18, 3 points in Kilmarnock. You're not going to take it. Celtic should win, particularly in view of what's happened at Rangers. We'll come to that in a minute. Would I want to back them at 1-5? Absolutely not. I wouldn't want to back Kilmarnock either. Dundee against Ross 44-26-30. Dundee haven't been overly bad. You look at them and you think, oh yeah, they're 9th in the table. Those 2 losses have come away at St Mirren and Celtic. They're the top 2 teams in the division. They beat Hearts here, but I was mindful of that Hearts win. It was after a Hearts tough night in Europe, so I'm not so sure that that form's overly great. Ross have won twice at Kilmarnock, and they beat St Johnstone. I thought it was a tough game to assess. If I had to play, I would play Dundee, but I thought it was a really hard one. Not for me. Hearts against Hibs. I don't know what to make of either of these as well. I mean, 7 games in, Hearts have been beaten 3 times, and it's not like they've been beaten by Celtic and Rangers. It's been Dundee, Motherwell and St Mirren. They've won against Aberdeen, and Hearts drew with Kiddie. I don't know what to make of Hearts this season. My thoughts on Hibs. Soft centre, completely untrustworthy. We backed them last week against Dundee. They let the side down. I just don't trust Hibs. I never have done. I wouldn't touch them tomorrow. If I had to bet, I would bet Hearts, but it would be with your money rather than mine. Livingston Motherwell 38-25-37. Tough game to assess. Livingston 1 win away at Hibernian, funnily enough, all season. 2 losses for Livy have come against Celtic and Rangers. Motherwell have gone off the boil recently. They started well. They've lost the last 3, but if you want to be fair to Motherwell, those 3 defeats have been against St Mirren, Rangers and Celtic, the top 3. I felt this was a really tight game because you could make a strong case for either. I thought it was best to leave it. St Mirren Rangers 18-24-58. If you didn't know, Michael Beale's been sacked from Rangers. Now, I've done some digging yesterday and today, and I honestly cannot believe they're considering Frank Lampard, and they are. I think it's absolute crazy. The There's two people I know. I don't know them, but there's two people I told want the job. One of them is Ruud van Nistelrooy. He was done very, very well with PSV. I don't generally like strikers as managers, because I'm a great believer that I think you need to sit at the base of a game to watch the game unfold in front of you. I think centre-backs, holding midfielders, I think they make really decent managers. That's my personal preference. But no, credit to Van Nistelrooy, he done extremely well with PSV. He wants the job. Somebody else wants the job. Is it Philippe Clement? That's who it is. I hope I've pronounced it right. Philippe Clement. He wants the job as well. Lampard wants the job, and I know the Rangers board are considering Lampard, which is absolutely mind-numbing. I know a lot of Rangers fans. I know probably 3 or 4 absolute diehards that are season ticket holders, and they have said to me they will not go if Lampard gets the job. I mean, a couple of those wanted McLeish back, Big Ek. I don't think that's going to happen. There's always been a bit of a sort of Dutchy connection with Rangers. Dick Advocat and Van Bronckhorst. I probably named some others. So I think Van Nistelrooy would probably be my choice of the people that want the job. But to give it to Lampard, oh my God, I cannot believe it. Every single club he's managed has regressed. I mean, I've got a friend who's a Derby County fan, blames Derby County's current situation on one person, Frank Lampard. And look at Everton, Chelsea. Have they taken positive step forward? No. You can't blame it all on Lampard, but he is just not a football manager. And I tell you now, for somebody like him to walk into a Rangers dressing room with a big I am attitude is not going to go down well. That will end in tears. I just hope for Rangers' sake they don't go through with it. But he is their preferred candidate, which is crazy. I've backed this. I've not given it to members, but I've had a small bet on it myself because, they're unbeaten. They're going along well. Aberdeen St Johnstone 55-26-19. Have Aberdeen turned a corner? Somebody said to me. No, I don't believe they have. They beat Ross 4-0. They won 3-1 at Rangers. Did they win 3-1 at Rangers, or did Rangers players down tools to get Michael Beale the sack? I know which camp I'm in. Would I trust them to beat St Johnstone? Yes, I would trust them, but I wouldn't trust them at 8-13. I make them 4-5. What would I want to back Aberdeen? 19-20 or even money. Not that. I wouldn't back St Johnstone even though there's 2 points in them. Right, Scottish Championship, Airdrie Air 52-26-20. Odds on Airdrie. I think they should be odds on. They're not. They're 23-20. Been very good at home. Won every game at home. Air have won twice. They've beaten Inverness and Queen's Park. And I did say, didn't I, last week, when we backed Arbroath, I said, Duncan Ferguson, my exact words, he will galvanise Inverness. I didn't expect it that quick. Right, Dunfermline Arbroath 50-25-25. Don't think Dunfermline should be odds on. Most likeliest winners, yes. Odds on, no. Arbroath haven't done a lot wrong. They got chinned by Inverness, and let's be fair about it. It was only 3-2 in the end. Dunfermline's last 2 wins have been against Morton and Queen's Park, probably 2 of the 3 or 4 worst teams in the division. Not convinced with Dunfermline now. Had high hopes at the start. Inverness Partick 30-25-45. What do I think? I don't think Inverness should be sort of 2-1 or around that price. I think they should be a bit shorter. I know what this says, because what we got to do, we've got to change everything on Inverness, and people say, oh, why haven't you done that already? Because you don't do it on the back of one game. Yes, Duncan Ferguson's come in, shot in the arm, they've won away at Arbroath, but just because that's one game, you do not go and start altering figures what you've kept for God knows how long. You see how he goes for 2 or 3 games, and what I'm saying is that if we were rating Inverness now, like we would hopefully be in 2 or 3 weeks. That would be a big price. Partick are a decent side, we know that. 4 wins from 7. I just don't know whether the 4 wins have been against Queen's Park, Morton, Ayr and Dunfermline. I don't know how strong that form is. I really don't. It's you know, I mean, we look at the positions. Dunfermline 6th, Queen's Park 7th, Ayr 8th, Morton 10th. All the wins have been against teams 6th or below for Partick. I know Inverness are second from bottom, but I still think that squad's a top 4 squad. So I wouldn't touch this game. But if I had to have a bet, it would be Inverness. Queen's Park Morton 42-27-31. Put a stiff line through this, guys. Don't touch this game. Morton have lost 5 from 7. Have not won since the opening day of the season. Queen's Park haven't won since August and lost the last 5. And they haven't just lost the last 5. They've been mullered 4-1, 5-2. They've let in 3 a couple of times. You've got to stay away from them. I wouldn't touch this game. I wouldn't touch this game either at the bottom. Wraith Dundee United 32-24-44. There's 0.13 in Dundee United. I do expect them to win. But Wraith's only loss recently was a 1-0 defeat at Airdrie. They're a decent side at home. So, you know, we'll see. Right, Scottish League 1, Cove Annan 50-25-25. Cove 4-6. No way. Absolutely no way. Look, I'm one of those people that thinks that Cove are better than what we're seeing from them. But the fact of the matter is, they're second from bottom. They've won 1 of 8 games. How do you price that at 4-6? Yeah, I don't rate Annan. They've beaten Edinburgh and Stirling this season. But I just, there's absolutely no way you could back Cove at 4-6. I don't think Cove should be anywhere near 4-6. Half a point in Annan at 25% is not enough. Edinburgh Kelty 26-26-48. Nothing of interest for us here. Edinburgh have lost 6 from 8. They've drawn the last 2. So there might be some green shoots of a bit of a revival. Kelty are up to 4th. I mean, they beat Queen of the South last week. I just can't understand that. Game to swerve. Montrose Alloa 54-27-19. 0.08 in it. They have got the wheels back on. There is a decent bit of confidence around Links Park at the moment, I'm told. I mean, he did tell me he expects them to win tomorrow. That doesn't mean a lot. Alloa have won 1 in the last 6. A 1-0 win over Cove. On the road, they've been turned over at Kelty, Hamilton, draw at Annan. Don't know what to make of that. Tough game. I do think Montrose will probably win. Queen of the South, Stirling 48-26-26. No way should they be odds on. Lost the last 4 games. Worrying times. Just when you think, you know, you can start making a case for them. And I did make a case for them last week because they'd lost their last 3 to Montrose, Falkirk and Hamilton, the top 3. And if a team loses, say like 3 in a row to the top 3, a lot of people will look at that and just say, oh, they're bang out of form, blah, blah, blah. But I'm always prepared to overlook and give a team another chance. And so you should, because for all we know, Falkirk, Hamilton and Montrose might be championship level. Well, 2 of them are certainly looking like championship level, aren't they? But Queen of the South, I don't know. And I certainly wouldn't back Stirling. This is a game of the weekend for me. Falkirk at home to Hamilton. First place, second. Both played 8, both won 7, both drawn 1, both lost none. Falkirk have scored 23, conceded 6. Hamilton have scored 18, conceded 4. Where do you see it? It's tough. It's really hard. I don't think Falkirk should be odds on. Firstly, you can't pitch together 2 sides with exactly the same form and make Team A odds on just because it's at home. That is the home factor, I'm sure. Well, it is. this is why I always love to play away, because you've always got inbuilt value straight away. That's you're talking 10 to 11 for a team that's playing a team that's won 7, drawn 1, lost none. What in God's name warrants them being odds on? Not a chance. That's the true price of Falkirk. That's the true price of Hamilton. 0.45 in Hamilton if you fancy it. I'm not saying Hamilton will win. I think it's a really tough game. I wish we could watch it live. Right, let's go on to League 2. We'll run through this quick and then we'll do the weekly double in that. Bonnyrigg East 5, 38, 24, 38. Can't split these two, but the value's undoubtedly with East 5. Bonnyrigg, I'm not impressed with because all the wins have been against teams near the bottom. Last weekend they drew 2-2 at Spartans. I quite respect that, but Spartans have had 5 draws in 8. So, I mean, I shan't be looking at Spartans at all for win purposes. East 5 are better than 8th. I know that for a fact. They've lost 2 of the last 6. That was against Dumbarton and Stenhousemuir, who are 2nd and 3rd. I think, you know, they're unbeaten in the last 3. I think they're starting to go the right way. They're better than 8th, no doubt about that. Clyde Dumbarton 25, 25, 50. Don't think Dumbarton warrant being odds on for this, particularly on the view of their last away performance was a 2-0 loss to bottom of the table at Elgin. But then if you go back to the performance away at Stenhousemuir at the end of August when they won 4-2, you say, crikey, yeah, they'll thrash Clyde. So it's a bit of a spin of a coin with what you're going to get with Dumbarton. I don't spin coins at 19 to 20. Elgin Stenhousemuir 20, 26, 54. Odds on Stenny, I agree. There's a smidge of value, a smidge, 0.02. I wouldn't take 0.02 for an away team. They've won their last 3 away, all without conceding at East 5 Spartans and Bonnyrigg. Elgin aren't as good as those. The only thing I'll say in Elgin's defence, their last 2 home games, they beat Dunbar and drew with East 5. Forfar Peterhead, 35, 25, 40. I'm done with. I've been done with Forfar for a long time, as you know. 1 win in the last 6, 2-0 away at Stranraer. Drawn with Clyde, drawn with Spartans, drawn with East 5, lost to Bonnyrigg, lost to Dumbarton. Peterhead, very good side, particularly away from home. They've played 4 games away from home. They've won 3 of them. They've seen off some decent sides on the road. I think they ought to be winning this. Well, they're up to winning this. They've beaten East 5, Clyde and Dumbarton. If you can win at Dumbarton, you can win at Forfar. I don't think they should be 15 to 8. I mean, I think the bookmakers have got this completely round the wrong way, because I think Peterhead are 6 to 4. They've got Forfar at just a shade over 6 to 4, and you can see I've got Peterhead at 15 to 8. Forfar in at 15 to 8. They've got Peterhead in at 15 to 8. Right, finally, Stranraer Spartans. Good luck if you're punting in this match, because I couldn't tell you where to go. I think it will be a draw. Stranraer have lost the last 3. Spartans have only lost once, but they've drawn the last 3. I think this game smacks of a draw. Not for me. I don't back draws, but if I did 5 to 2, it's not enough, is it? But best bet in League 2, probably East 5 at the prices. Right, let's do the weekend double. Right, weekend double. Liverpool and Stockport, because I really do think Liverpool will beat Brighton, and I do think Stockport will beat Doncaster. 2.07 to 1 with Coral, so that's a really decent price. Weekly treble, going to go with Liverpool, Tottenham and Stockport, which pays 3.49 to 1 with Betway. So Liverpool and Stockport as a double, Liverpool, Tottenham and Stockport as the double, as the treble, sorry. That's it, guys. Fingers crossed we can have a weekend like we had last weekend, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.